Students, today we are going to start chapter number 9, that is diversity among animals. So, first of all, we will talk about the characteristics of animals. And the kingdom Animalia, it consists of all animals which have the following properties, like they all are multicellular organisms. It means it includes the organisms that are made up of more than one cells. They are eukaryotic, means they have a proper nucleus which is enclosed within a nuclear envelope. They are heterotrophic organisms. It means they cannot synthesize their own food, but they depend on other organisms for their food. And they all are breathing animals, or you can say they all are breathing organisms. They are diploid and they have cells without the cell walls. So, these are the basic characters of the animals. So, if we talk about their habitat, the animals can be found in the aquatic environment and they are also found in the terrestrial environments. All the organisms, they are living and motile, means they can move from one place to another place. Some of them are also sessile, means they are attached to the substratum or to the rocks and they cannot move from one place to another place. Or they are parasites. And parasites are those organisms which lives within the body of another organism which is called its host. They all have the nervous system which is well developed, starting from the nervous system that is not very much developed in the earlier groups, but later on, as the development and advancement, the nervous system has been developed fully. They have excretory systems, respiratory system, digestive system, and circulatory system. Their size range from worms, which can be seen only with the help of a microscope, to the blue whales, which weighs up to 150 tons. It means the kingdom Animalia includes the microscopic organisms to the organisms which are too big. Then the organisms have a body cavity, which we will discuss in the next slides. They have a specialized skeleton which provides support and strength to these organisms. They also have the ability of regeneration. For example, if a part of their body is missing, it will regenerate or regrow again by the instinctive processes, or you can say the intrinsic properties. Then the kingdom Animalia includes both vertebrates and invertebrates. Now the animals have been classified on the basis of 4 properties. They can be classified according to the presence or absence of the tissue, number of the tissue layers, body symmetry, and types of the body cavity. But before that, we will talk about the specialized tissues and organs of the kingdom Animalia. The body of the organisms in this group kingdom Animalia may be soft or hard. They have a radial symmetry or bilateral symmetry. They can be diploblastic or triploblastic. Their body may be covered with the shell, chitin, scales, or furs. We will talk about these properties in detail in the next groups. Because some organisms have a shell around their body, some of them have a scaly skin, and some contains furs or feathers. Their body cavity may be acoelomate, pseudocoelomate, and coelomate. Their digestive system differs in different groups of organisms. For example, there are some animals which may have no definite digestive system, that is, the sponges. Then, some of them have a sac like gastrovascular cavity. For example, it is found in Hydra. It may be rudimentary, for example, in the tapeworm. Digestive system may be sac-like, that is, have one opening, that is in planaria. Tube-like digestive system have two openings, that is, nematodes to the mammals. The excretory system may be absent in sponges and in the cnidarians, which are the lower groups of organisms. The excretory system can be branch-like tubes in the flatworms, and excretory system is properly present and developed in the nematodes to the mammals. Now, the nervous system can also be differentiated. For example, in the lower organisms, there is no definite nervous system, for example, again in sponges and in cnidarians. And nervous system is present in nematodes to the chordates. Chordates are the vertebrate organisms. Most animals have the sense organs in their nervous systems. Then, if we talk about the respiratory system, all animals respire, but the respiratory system is absent in sponges, cnidarians, flatworms, nematodes, which are roundworms, and annelids. But respiratory system is present in arthropods to the chordates. Skeleton is also present in all animals. For example, the skeletal system in sponges is called spicules. In the worms and annelids, the skeleton is called hydroskeleton, which is a water-filled cavity which provides support and strength to the body of the organism. Skeleton may be exoskeleton, for example, which is a hard skeleton which protects the body of the organism, for example, in arthropods, in mollusks, and in chordates. It can be endoskeleton in mollusks, echinoderms, chordates, and highly developed invertebrates. Now, if we talk about the locomotion or the movement of the organisms, most animals are capable of locomotion at some time during their life cycle. The circulatory system is absent in sponges, cnidarians, roundworms, and flatworms. It is present in the annelids to the higher groups which are called chordates. The reproductive systems can be asexual reproduction or the sexual reproduction, about which we have already a very clear idea. Life cycle of the animals. There may be a larval stage or an adult stage. These two stages comprises of one complete life cycle of an animal. Now, the classification of organisms on the basis of presence or absence of the tissues. Kingdom Animalia is divided up into two subkingdoms. And this division occurred when the true tissues evolved in some animals. And these two tissues have been divided the animals in two groups, which are Parazoa and Eumetazoa. Parazoa includes only the phylum Porifera, which are also known as sponges. These organisms have a simple anatomy, unlike other animals, because they lack true tissues. Sponges are an evolutionary dead end. These are the simplest metazoans, and they have cellular grade of organization which show division of labor but are not strongly associated to perform a specific collective function. Phylum Porifera is included in the subkingdom Parazoa. The next is Eumetazoa, which includes the animals with true tissues. And tissues allow for complex anatomy and functions. These tissues are assembled into larger functional units called organs. And different organs operate together as 11 types of organ systems. These organ systems may be skeletal, muscular, integumentary, digestive, respiratory, circulatory, excretory, nervous, endocrine, immune, and reproductive systems. Then the classification of animals according to the number of tissue layers. Animals may be classified as diploblastic and triploblastic animals. Diploblastic animals have two layers, ectoderm and endoderm. And the triploblastic animals have an ectoderm, endoderm, and the intervening mesodermal layer, which is present in the center. Diploblastic animals belong to division Radiata, and the triploblastic animals belong to grade Bilateria. These two terms we will talk in the next slides. Again, diploblastic animals have a body wall consists of two germ layers, which is outer one ectoderm and the inner is called endoderm. And during the development of the animals is the establishment of the germ layers from which all other structures are derived. There is a jelly-like mesenchyme or mesoglea is present between the two germ layers, which in most cases is non-cellular. The diploblastic animals show lesser specialization and they do not form specialized organs. Such animals have tissue level of organization and the symmetry of their body is radial symmetry. The triploblastic animals The body wall of these animals is made up of three layers, which I have already discussed, is ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. And in most triploblastic animals, during embryonic development, these layers are not distinct as separate layers of cell but form following structures. For example, ectoderm forms integumentary and nervous system. Integuments are the layers. Mesoderm forms muscular, skeletal, blood vascular and reproductive systems. And endoderm has the fate to form the lining of the digestive tract and the glands of the digestive system, such as liver and pancreas. The cells of these animals show greater degree of specialization, and these have specialized organs and organ systems. The triploblastic animals have bilateral symmetry. Now, the classification of animals according to the body symmetry. Types of body symmetry. Some animals show no particular symmetry and they are called asymmetrical organisms. Some of them have a radial symmetry and some of them shows bilateral symmetry. Radial symmetry is the type of symmetry in the parts of the body are arranged around a central axis in such a way that any plane passing through the central axis divides the animal into two equal halves that are almost mirror image of each other. All the animals with radial symmetry, having a top and a bottom and similar body parts, are arranged as spokes or radial form a central body axis. For this, you can imagine the wheels of a bicycle from which the radial spokes radiates outward from the central axis. And the example of great radiata are sea anemone or jellyfish, which can be cut into two equal halves vertically in any plane. The organisms which have been shown in this slide have a radial symmetry. Now, if we talk about bilateral symmetry, the animals having bilateral symmetry have a plane through the midline of the body which divides it into roughly equivalent right and left halves that are mirror images. The front or interior end of the animal generally has a head, and the posterior end of the animal may be equipped with a tail. And there are well defined dorsal and ventral surfaces, which are the upper and lower surfaces. The animals included in grade Bilatria are triploblastic, which we have already talked about, and these can be the organisms which belong to the groups mollusks, arthropoda, echinodermata, annelida, hemichordata, and chordata. The bilateral symmetry can be shown in this diagram. You can see a butterfly which can be divided into two halves, the right and the left, and both are the mirror images of one another. And it has a head at the top and a tail at the bottom. Tail is not obvious here, but it can be shown in the larval stages. Now, the classification of organisms according to the types of body cavity. The organisms have been divided up into three further groups according to the body cavity. For example, acoelomates, pseudocoelomates, and coelomates. Now you can see acoelomates are the flatworms which does not contain a proper body cavity, or the animals without coelom between the outer body wall and the digestive tube are called acoelomates. Then comes the pseudocoelomates. The animals with the false coelom are called pseudocoelomata. The organisms belongs to the phylum Aschelminthes and the Nematoda. If the body cavity develops between the mesoderm and endoderm, it is called pseudocoelom, that is the false body cavity. Pseudocoelom develops from the blastocele. Now this is another term that we will discuss in the next topic. Then comes the coelomates, in which the organisms belonging to mollusks, annelids, arthropods, echinoderms, and chordates. These are the animals with true body cavity or coelom. The coelom cavity is present between outer body wall and the alimentary canal. So this is all about today's topic. If you have any questions, you can ask. Thank you so much.